Hi everyone and welcome along. Today in the UK we are celebrating our Queen's Platinum Jubilee. That's 70 years on the throne and that is worth celebrating. So today I'm going to paint a gorgeous little crown and flower garland for you all to celebrate along with me. So grab your paints and let's get started. So I thought it would be fun to do a lovely little celebratory design featuring some flowers, of course, and the coronation crown. Or, well, I say the coronation crown. I could not say this is a very accurate representation. But what I've done a horizontal line across the page just to mark out sort of where my little garland's going to go. Found the centre mark, and I'm now just putting in these lines to sketch a crown. So I am going to, I've got this sort of central upright bit, and then we're going to have these two curves coming out from the side. And then we've got a band around the bottom, so a little bit of a curve, bit of a curve there. And then I think another band, and then we're going to have waves. So one in the middle and then going out to the points. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with a little nifty trick here. So I draw a square, put a circle in the middle, and then at each corner you just do this little teardrop shape, and that gives you the shape of the detail on the crown. And then you're just doing it from the side. I actually went to see the crown jewels at the Tower of London years ago when I was little, and I remember thinking that the crown was actually quite small. I mean, very impressive, but quite small. But that's probably a good thing, because I can imagine it's very heavy with all this metal and jewels. So doing a little fleur-de-lis, and then on top I'll have an orb, so a little circle there. With a cross, and then up on top another one of these square shapes, and then you just take the corners out like that. Okay, and then a few jewels down here. And a bit of ermine on the bottom, which is the fluffy bit. Okay, so that's all we need for our crown, really. At this point, I might just actually pop those on. Now what we're going to do, lightly rub this out, and then I'm just going to paint the whole thing in yellow ochre. So the crown has now been painted in yellow ochre. You can see that it's just a light wash, and at points we've just used slightly stronger bits, more dilute sections, just to give a really nice simple wash. But it is important that the colour stays fairly dilute and light, because we're now going to be painting lots of flowers in and around the crown. So you might want to start sort of with a pencil and just sort of plan where your flowers are going to be coming out of, whether they are sort of weaving their way around. My idea is just to sort of have a most wonderful kind of riot of colour. I was thinking red, white and blue. That makes quite a lot of sense, doesn't it? So I'm just going to, with pencil, do a little bit of a plan, and that just helps you get a slight sense of how it's all going to work out. So I'll keep the pencil there to one side. Now, red, white and blue flowers It's not actually a colour combination that I would regularly think of as a good idea. But I think today, for the Jubilee, we should have a go at it. So the first red flower that I can think of very easily is a poppy. So I've got some cadmium red and I've got a size 0 brush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place in some fairly sort of loose flowers, and I think I've got my stems as a helpful guide, but I might be adding in more flowers as I go. So here we go to start off with. So brush angled quite low to the page, and I'm creating the big sort of broad and rather wayward petals of a poppy. I think that's rather nice, and I might pop another one in there. And I think the best advice I can give with a poppy is to not try and make it too perfect, because the more poppies you see, you just know that the more beautiful they are when they're more loose and free. And I'm just mixing up a tiny bit of Mars Black with a bit of Paynes Grey, and I just want to put a very small dab of that colour in for the poppy. So I'm just going to sort of pop in a few across the piece. Next, for blue, I've mixed up a bit of cobalt blue deep here and French ultramarine blue. I think cornflower might be really nice. So with my size 4/10 brush, these take a little longer than a poppy. I am going to paint in a range of these cornflower just by painting almost a little sort of star effect. There we go. They tend to grow in clusters, even though we're not doing like a full-on accurate botanical painting, but sometimes it's nice. It helps a flower be more recognisable sometimes if you're actually painting it in a slightly accurate manner. And once you've painted them and they've dried a little, you can dab in a sort of darker centre. So I'm using Paynes Grey here. For a white flower, many of you will be familiar with my approach to painting white flowers, is we mix up a really dilute shadow mix, a bit of burnt sienna, Paynes Grey, and then I mix in a tiny bit of green, and I'm going to paint in white sweet peas. So essentially at this point it just looks like painting lots of little blobby ghosts really all over the page and the place. But that's fine. What we will be doing after we've sort of established our 3 red, white and blue flowers, we'll now be able to add in maybe a few other red, white and blue blooms, but it's just important to establish your first ones, your key ones. So I'm just literally blobbing this colour down, and you can see it's very faint, but it is just about visible, and it will crisp up and turn into a lovely white flower, and will also be layering up on top of it with another layer of the white, just to help it have a fighting chance. Of course, we've also got the green of all the stems, which is going to look lovely, but I think variation is key. So I'm going to come up with another little red flower. Now I think we've got lots of sort of blooms here, some solid flowers. What we don't have is anything a bit more sort of long and spindly, like a snapdragon or a bluebell, something like that. So I think what's going to happen now is we need to start drawing in our stems, because the stems are taking more importance. So we'll just let this all dry, and then we're going to start bringing it all together. Okay, so the sweet peas look great. I've added on a second little layer of a few extra petals, and you can just see how that all looks all crisped up and lovely. But now we're going to focus on sort of building this up, padding it out, and adding in stems. I've got Sap Green, Green Gold and Hooker's Green all woken up and ready, and I've got my 4/10 brush, and I think also the rigger brush here will be very useful as well. The idea is the petals are all sort of flowers are coming out of the crown and things. So let's start off over here then. I'm going to begin by having this one coming out from there, that one coming out from underneath behind. And cornflower have these long leaves. And they also have, you get a lot of little buds growing. So we can do a little blue bud. Hasn't quite opened up yet. And even though it's just a very small, not very detailed set of flowers, I love just adding tiny bits of detail where I can. So we've got another cornflower over here. Always looking for places where the stems can sort of disappear off into. And this also will be an opportunity where you'll go, oh, actually I think another flower there might be nice. So you'll find yourself adding in flowers as you go. Sweet peas feel like we should go for a slightly different, a slightly greener, yellowy greener stem. It might be very green, maybe just mix them up as you go. And sweet peas have these sort of butterfly leaves. And they also have lovely swirly tendrils. Let's see if I can place a tendril in or two. Poppies as well, can't forget about those. And so you see it's really starting to fill up, and it might be nice to have a poppy seed head or two knocking about in there. So that's looking absolutely lovely, and you can see how as it starts to fill up it really becomes rather fun. But now with my red I am going to paint in a little flower. I'm not entirely sure what it is. That's also the beauty with painting in miniature. You can just doodling flowers. So I'm doing a sort of a stem with little pom-pom flowers on, and then I can just join them up. looks rather fun. So I'm just going to start padding it out as I go along, and then we'll have a look at the end, see if there's anything else we want to add. Okay, this is looking really fun, and to be honest, I didn't have to do a huge amount more than what we'd already put in the first place. So we've got a little bit more to do. I'm going to paint in just a little bit of a shadow on the ermine here. If you're not quite sure what I am talking about, go and Google the royal crowns and you'll see, whoops, spilled a bit of red. Oh well, it's all right. You see there's this sort of fur with a spot in it, a spot like a black little fleck in it that is on the bottom of the crowns. But the other thing I'm going to do, which I'm really excited about, is I'm going to add a bit of gold, a bit of metallic gold. And I have this gold paint here, which is a fine tech gold metallic watercolour paint, and it's just wonderful stuff. I really love using it. Details in the episode notes if you want to get your hands on some of that. And what I'm going to do with my little brush is I am going to outline the crown and all its details in gold. And that will really make this a very special Jubilee themed artwork. So once it's all outlined in gold, you can also maybe use it to just add a few little extra details. And whilst it's drying, this gold sort of doesn't really shimmer and shine as much, but once it is completely dry, my goodness me, it's absolutely beautiful. So we're just going to allow this to dry 100%. And then we can rub out the pencil and have a look at our lovely celebratory Jubilee piece. But there is one other tiny bit to do. I've almost forgot. I've got my regular paints just off the side here. The little flecks of black in the crown there. There we go. Okay, let's let it dry, rub out the pencil and see what we've got. So everything is rubbed out, all the pencil's rubbed out, and I don't know if you, I'm never quite sure where the light source is coming from when I'm filming, but the gold is looking spectacular. So there we have a lovely celebratory piece for the Platinum Jubilee. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that one. And for all the information of where to get things like the metallic paints or paint brushes, just check the episode notes below. I want to say a massive thank you to my patrons for their support, because that support enables us to keep creating videos like these that everyone can enjoy. And if you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and comment below to let me know how you got on with that, and if you're celebrating the Jubilee, what are you doing? So I want to say thank you again, and of course if you never want to miss another video, then hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell, and we'll see you again next time. Bye!